The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees. Hello, and once again we're here with Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers Creative Showcase, and of course I'm Mark Miller, and today I have a local publisher and also a member of CLAW, Ron Turner. Thanks for coming, Ron. And we also have a special guest off camera who may wind up on camera, which is his grandson Noah. So if you hear little noises in the background, that is Noah giving, I guess, a play-by-play critique of what we're doing here.
Yeah, this is Grandpa Child Care Day.
There we go. And what we're here today for is, like I said, Ron is a local publisher, and he's published a book by his son, Matt Turner, and there's also another book over here, which is nonfiction.
It's by Michael Thompson.
Michael Thompson. Individual involved, I guess you call it the criminal world at one time.
Yes.
So we're going to start out because with your son's book, because apparently he wrote it how many years ago?
Almost 10 years ago now.
Okay. And he right now is working in Hollywood, writing scripts for some fairly well-known television shows.
Yes.
And on cable and streaming and stuff. But he decided to write this book, and it's set in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, specifically in Seattle,
okay.
And it kind of climaxes on Bainbridge Island. That's a poster that shows a scene, depicts a scene that's in the book where there's a large fight between the main character and a group of bad guys on the ferry. The ferry suffers the worst of it.
And so you want to tell a little backstory about this poster at various venues?
Well, we've been promoting my son's book, which is, I should explain, it's a science fiction book set about 20 years in the future. And the main character, well, it's a Frankenstein story. The main character is created in a lab, but he doesn't know that. He has implanted memories, and he thinks he's just a successful entrepreneur in Seattle in his late 20s. And then things start happening because the limiters on his abilities that were put on him for the field test are starting to fail. So he has moments of super hearing and super strength, and it draws attention to his situation. We've been selling the book locally at venues in Kingston and Bremerton, the Blackberry Festival, which is, of course, right next to the ferry. And in Kingston, it's also right next to the ferry. We had a little trouble in Kingston. We were asked not to display this poster because some people were, with kids there, were feeling kind of frightened by the image. And I would always explain to anybody that came up to the booth that is set in the future. It's not something that happened already, even though I induce that kind of thinking because of the headline on the poster, but that's just to grab attention. I think this is probably the only science fiction book set in Seattle that you'll see anywhere now, and specifically on Bainbridge Island. That's the Bainbridge Island ferry, and of course we photoshopped the explosions, but it's an actual picture of the ferry downloaded from the internet.
And after we did Blackberry Festival, I got contacted by the manager that ran the Blackberry Festival for the Bremerton Rotary, which I'm on the board with, and she says, "Oh, there's this woman that said she's in charge of the ferry security with Homeland Security, and there's complaints about he had pictures of an exploding ferry, And so I had to explain, I said, well, tell her that it's strictly is fiction and it's just 20 years in the future. And after this woman with the ferry system heard that, she says, oh, that sounds interesting. I might have to buy that book. So I've got to get a hold of her to try to get her interviewed for my fraternal order of police, I think, because
Right.
she's apparently head of the ferry security. But there are people out there trying to protect us from people doing stuff like this to their ferries.
Yeah. I'll point out that it's not depicting a scene that's a terrorist act against the ferry. The ferry just happens to be the location at which the battle occurs.
And we had one former ferryman come by and go, well, you'd never have an explosion like that because diesel, it wouldn't explode like that. Well, of course, you forget that you have all these cars on there, so.
Well, also, in this case,
Yeah.
it's a squad of super soldiers that were attacking the hero,
Oh, okay.
and they had gotten instructions to self-destruct.
Yeah.
And so they were exploding, causing what you see here.
And what prompted your son to write specifically this book?
Right. Well, I was living on Bainbridge Island at the time, and he came up for a visit and got into the idea of writing a novel. This was before most of the success that he's since had in actual writing scripts for shows like Manifest, which was a #1 show on Netflix at the time. He got into it, and we actually researched what the ferry looks like and how people get on and off and so on. And he just evolved it. I've been after him to write the sequel to it. It's set up for a sequel, but he's preoccupied with his script writing now. And he's got a new show that he's written episodes for called Nemesis that will be on Netflix next spring or next fall. And it's a contemporary show set in Los Angeles. It's kind of a heist, cops and robbers show.
Cool. I'm looking at your grandson off camera and everything, and the BCAT staff is helping with us. But if you hear noises, that's Noah giving, like I said, an ongoing critique of the show.
We may bring him in for a cameo shot.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the fictional work, but you have a long career as a lawyer, and you also got that because of that you became involved with this specific nonfiction. I guess
Right, with Michael Thompson.
Is it a biograph? Is it biograph or autobiographical?
It's autobiographical.
Okay.
He's written it and it's co-authored by his wife, Ariel Tomioka, who happens to be my son Matt Turner's mother. So, and she and I are no longer married, of course, because she's married to Michael Thompson. So it's a kind of a family publishing company.
Go ahead and bring him in.
Yeah.
Go on,
All
bring
right.
the kid in.
There comes
There
Noah.
you comes. There you
There's
go.
Noah. So he's the son of my other daughter, who lives here in Bremerton, Maggie Turner.
This is what grandparents do.
Yeah.
And we have grandparents who are members of CLAW.
Yeah. You mentioned my career as an attorney.
Yeah.
It's actually, I worked for the State Public Defender's Office in California until I retired from that. And I handled what are known in California as death penalty cases, where my clients all have been convicted of murder and sentenced to death. So I handled appeals for the California Supreme Court. And so I was pretty familiar with the penal system in California. And I met Michael through Ariel. And Michael has a very interesting life and outlook on life. He was actually abandoned as a teen pretty much by his family and lived on an Indian reservation in California, where he met an elder there who became his mentor. While he was still quite young, he wound up getting framed for a double murder that he was convicted of and sentenced to, a long sentence. He became, because of his skills as a fighter, became kind of a prison warrior and was challenged a lot and survived that, and was then recruited into the Aryan Brotherhood, where he became a leader for several years. The Aryan Brotherhood he explains a lot about the Aryan Brotherhood in the book. If you're interested in what happens in prison life, this is a real good explanation.
We're gonna have to bring the grandchild in here. He wants granddad.
Yeah, you're gonna go ahead and bring him back in. Anyway, he had a falling out, of course, with the Aryan Brotherhood and became a government witness in cases against other members. Fortunately, he finally was paroled a few years ago and is now telling his story in this book.
This is live TV. This is what BCAT does. We bring in grandkids and we show what actually exists in society. This is not one of these scripted moments. But we wanted to get Ron in here today to talk about his books. And Noah, I can tell, is going to be a lawyer someday.
Yes.
Yes, because he already has a gift for gab.
So let me tell a little bit more about Genesis. It's called Genesis because one of the main characters is a Nobel Prize-winning scientist who's conducting a experiment called the Genesis Project, which relates to the fact that he, because of the events in his life, the scientist believes that humanity is on the path of self-destruction. We need to have better humans.
Yep.
And so he sets out to create one. But the company he works for also wants to create better soldiers. So he has to hide the fact that he's creating a better human who's not intended to be a soldier. But the company eventually finds out about it because of the experiences that the character, whose name is Aidan Markison, the character, because he's having these experiences of super hearing, super strength, and so on, winds up getting the attention of the company, and they want to capture him for the technology that's embedded in him and kidnap his fiancée. He has to rescue the fiancée. And then she finds out that he's not exactly a normal human.
Yes.
And they kind of have a separation. He winds up going after her she's moved to Bainbridge Island, and he has to go rescue her a second time.
Oh, okay.
And that's on the ferry coming back. He does. As you see, the story is not exactly a happy ending, but at least she's safe and he's alive.
Yes. And now if your son has a moment from writing television scripts, maybe he can write the follow-on book.
Yes, I'm after him to do that. Yes. But he's written for a number of shows that are on Starz Network, the Power franchise. He wrote for Power, and he wrote for one of the spin-offs, Raising Canaan. And he's up for possibly writing on the staff for a Star Wars movie.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see if that unfolds.
Getting back to the nonfiction book,
right.
War Horse, because we had this long discussion, because I did 30 years in law enforcement, and I worked in a maximum security prison and stuff like that.
Right.
So his life in prison wasn't exactly comfortable.
No.
Because he, like you said, he was involved with the Aryan Brotherhood, and then they had a falling out, and of course, there's some organizations that you never can really leave, and the Aryan Brotherhood is one of them.
Right.
And so when was he finally released on the appeal?
Well, he wasn't released on the appeal. He was
Okay.
actually just paroled.
Oh,
He's
okay.
maintained his innocence, but he hasn't been able to overturn his
Oh,
conviction.
okay.
He has a habeas proceeding challenging it that's been worked on for many years. But
Okay.
once he was paroled a couple of years ago, and Ariel got him talking, interviewed him
Yeah.
basically for many, many hours, and got him to tell his story. And she's a very good writer, and between the two of them, they've written a very compelling book.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
We're having a
yeah,
meltdown. We're having a meltdown. My God, there's a meltdown in the studio.
Yeah,
Hi. Yes. Come on
Yeah.
over here.
yeah. Mark is your friend.
Yes. At least I hope I'm your friend. Am I your
Yeah.
friend? Yes. Once again, this is Bremerton Kitsap Action Studios, and this is what we do. We work with the community. Kitsap literary and writers, yes. And the community includes young kids less than 2 years old by the name of Noah. Yes. You're so much more interesting than the books you probably write, right? You're gonna. Oh no! You're shaking your head. You don't think you're more interesting? Okay. Anyways, so his life post out on parole. I mean, what's it kind of been like? Has he been threatened by the Aryan Brotherhood at all, or?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay.
He's he's wary of things,
Yeah.
but he's now in his 70s.
Okay.
So he's not. He's probably not too much at risk at this point, and he's also been a presenter at various conventions for law enforcement about the ways in which
Oh, yeah.
prisoners smuggle things into prison. So
Of course.
he tells the stories of that. If you're interested in finding out how to smuggle something into prison, read this book.
Yes.
It's illuminating.
Yeah. Books like this are kind of graphic, so it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. Here he is. Yes, I know. Everybody's going, why are we doing this? Well, simply because I wanted to get Ron here, and he's a granddad, and you got to understand that as grandparents, you sometimes have added responsibilities. I don't have any grandkids, so I don't have to deal with it. But at the same time, being Kitsap literary and writers, we try to help our authors and our publishers.
Right.
Stuff. So, but I can tell that Noah's one day is going to be he's going to be bigger and greater things as he runs across the studio again. Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Oh boy, back he comes. So
Star in the making.
But I take it Michael is not really in any effort to write another follow-on book or anything like that.
Well, actually, it is. It's titled Book One because where this ends is after he's left the Aryan Brotherhood. But Book Two will be getting into the cases in which he testified against them.
Okay.
And further threats. But one of the things that happened is, of course, that he ratted out, in a sense, prison administrators who were involved in the smuggling and so on. And so he was threatened by both the Aryan Brotherhood and prison administrators who didn't like the fact that he was revealing their corruption.
Yep.
So he had to be, watchful from all ends. But fortunately, he as he said, survived and is out now, and as he said, giving presentations at law enforcement events.
Yeah, when I went through basically some of my training classes I went to and everything with the federal agent and all that good stuff, we got a chance to talk to people I'd done undercover with some of the gangs and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, they never really forgive and forget. So you always are kind of winding up looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life.
Right. Well, I maybe should mention here that there was a prison stabbing of an Aryan Brotherhood leader just 2 weeks ago
Oh, okay.
in North Salinas Valley State Prison in California. And so, but that was a somewhat younger generation. Everybody involved was in their 50s.
Yeah.
He's in his 70s.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's sort of outside
past that, hopefully, yeah.
past that, yes.
Well, I got a little high sign, so we're going to be coming to the end of this interview. And this is interesting because then you saw the younger generation in here also with the grandchild, Noah. But like I said before, Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers exists to help all local publishers, writers, artists, filmmakers, you name it. We try to help them get their wares and their creative endeavors out there to the general public. We meet twice a month, the first and third Wednesdays. In fact, we're taping this and we're going to be meeting tonight. We meet at the Denny's on Kitsap Way, and the official meeting starts about 7 o'clock, though a lot of us get there earlier. We don't charge dues, anything like that. The best way to kind of describe us is we are a creative co-op, in that everybody tries to help everybody else. We try to find other venues where people can bring their books or their paintings or their films or whatever and display them for the general public.
And sell them to the public.
Oh, yeah, well, anyways. But primarily is to get it out there. And these shows are also, because we're at Bremerton Kitsap Access Television, as we tape these are going to be broadcast on Comcast Channel 3 and Wave Cable Channel 12. No, I just reversed it. That's Comcast Channel 12 and Wave Cable Channel 3. I did that a while back too. I keep, anyways. On Wave Cable, they also have a new digital channel, Channel 70. So if you have one of the new digital boxes, you'll have to look at the schedule on there, which is different than on Channel 3. Anyway, either broadcast system, we broadcast these shows at 6 p.m. every Saturday evening. We also have a Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers page / film section on YouTube. So if you look up Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers, you should be able to find us on YouTube and see all of our past shows over the last several years. That's thanks to my publisher, Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers, that has a film division. If it wasn't for Bremerton Kitsap Access Television that allows us to use the studio, these shows would not be produced like they are, even with the little 1.5-year-old kid running around the studio, because like I said, that is real life. This is filmed live and then put on tape. So anybody who's interested in any type of creative endeavor, contact Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers, and also anybody who might want to be considering some type of broadcast show. If you contact Bremerton Kitsap Access Television, these studios are open to the public here in Kitsap County. So with that, I'm going to wish everybody a nice, productive, happy week and a very protective year. So this is Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers with Mark Miller and Ron Turner. Good day.